Captain Velthar pressed her three-fingered hand against the cold metal wall of her ship. The stars outside looked the same as they always did, bright dots in the black nothing of space. But today felt different. Today they were going to visit a dead world that nobody cared about. The ship moved slowly through space toward the yellow sun. It was not a special sun, just one of billions in the galaxy. Around it spun several planets. Most were gas giants or frozen rocks. The third planet from the sun looked dead and cold, perfect for mining operations. "Captain, we are getting strange readings from the third planet," said Dr. Kexran. She was the team's expert on old things, dead civilizations, lost worlds. Her skin was blue and her eyes were large and round like most of her people. Velthar walked to the main screen. Numbers and colors danced across it. She did not understand most of it. That was why she had experts. What kind of strange readings? Metal, lots of metal, but not natural metal. This metal was made by someone with very good technology. Dr. Kexran touched the screen. The image changed. Now it showed the planet's surface. Look at this. The planet looked empty from space. Brown and gray dirt. Some ice at the top and bottom. A few small oceans. But the readings showed something else. Under the dirt were shapes. Big shapes. Shapes that looked like they were built by thinking beings. How old? Velthar asked. That is the problem. Our scans say these things are very old. Maybe 500,000 years old. But look at this. Dr. Kexran touched another button. New numbers appeared. They still have power. After all this time, they still work. The bridge became quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing to look at the screen. In all their travels across the galaxy, they had never seen anything like this. Old things that still worked after so long. Commander Zarthek, the military officer, stepped forward. He was tall and thin with gray skin. "This could be dangerous. We should report this to the homeworld and wait for instructions." "No," said Velthar. "We are explorers. This is what we do. We explore." She looked at her crew. "But we will be careful. Very careful." The ship moved closer to the planet. As they got nearer, the readings became stronger. The metal shapes under the ground were huge. Some were as big as cities. They were connected by tunnels that went for thousands of miles under the planet's surface. "Captain," said the ship's computer in its calm voice, "I am detecting movement." Everyone froze. Movement meant something was alive down there. Or at least something was working. "What kind of movement?" Velthar asked. "Very small. Like machines checking themselves. Like a heart beating very slowly." Dr. Kexran worked at her station. Her hands moved fast across the controls. "I think these are not just buildings. I think they are ships. Very big ships. And they are sleeping. Sleeping ships." Commander Zarthek laughed. "Ships do not sleep." "These ones do," Dr. Kexran said. She was not joking. "Look at the power readings. They use just enough energy to stay alive, like an animal in winter. They are waiting for something." The ship landed on the planet's surface. The air was thin but breathable. The ground was hard and dry. Nothing grew here. No plants, no animals, just dirt and rocks. They set up their equipment and started digging. The metal was not far down. Just 20 feet below the surface, they found it. Smooth metal that looked new even though it was older than most of the civilizations in the galaxy. "This metal is amazing," said the team's scientist. "It should have rusted away long ago. But it looks like it was made yesterday." They dug more and found a door. It was a big door, big enough for a giant to walk through. Strange symbols were carved into it. The symbols glowed with a soft blue light. "Can you read it?" Velthar asked Dr. Kexran. "I have never seen this language before. It is not in any of our records, but the computer is trying to translate it." Dr. Kexran waited. "The computer says it might be a warning. Something about sleeping guardians. They found more doors. Dozens of them. All over the planet's surface. Some were small. Some were huge. All had the same blue glow. All had the same strange symbols." "What do you think is down there?" asked the young engineer. She was new to the crew. This was her first big discovery. "I do not know," said Velthar, "but I think we are about to find out." They set up their main camp near the biggest door they could find. It was massive, as wide as their ship and twice as tall. The symbols on this door were different from the others. More complex, more important looking. That night, as they slept in their tents on the dead world, the doors began to glow brighter. Not much brighter, just enough for someone watching carefully to notice. Deep below the ground, machines that had been sleeping for 500,000 years felt the strangers walking on the surface, felt their tools digging into the sacred earth, felt their curious eyes looking at the doors, and deep in the planet's core, something very old and very patient began to wake up. The next morning, Velthar stood looking at the big door. She had a choice to make. They could leave now, report what they found and let someone else deal with it. Or they could open the door and see what secrets this dead world held. She thought about all the explorers who came before her, all the brave souls who opened doors to unknown places. Some found treasure. Some found knowledge. Some were never seen again. Dr. Kexrin, she called. Can we open it? I think so. The lock seems to be electronic. Old, but still working. It might respond to the right signal. Velthar nodded. Then let's see what is behind the door. Dr. Kexrin connected her tools to the big door. The metal felt warm under her hands. That was strange. Dead things should be cold, but this door had been warm for 500,000 years. I am reading the electronic patterns now, she said. Her voice was quiet. She was scared but also excited. The lock is very complex, more complex than anything we have seen before. Captain Velthar watched from a safe distance. Commander Zarthek had his weapon ready. Not that a simple energy gun would help much if something bad came out of that door. Wait, said Dr. Kexrin suddenly. Something is happening. The blue symbols on the door began to flash. Faster and faster. Then they heard a sound. A deep rumbling sound that came from far below the ground. The ground under their feet started to shake. Stop what you are doing, Commander Zarthek shouted. This is not safe. But Dr. Kexrin could not stop. Her tools were connected to the door now. The door was talking to her tools, learning from them. I cannot disconnect. The door is scanning our computers. It is learning our language. The shaking got worse. Dust fell from the sky. In the distance, they could see other doors. The doors were opening. Not just one or two doors. All of them. Dozens of doors all across the planet were opening at the same time. Run! Yelled Velthar. Everyone back to the ship. But before they could move, their door began to open too. It did not open fast. It opened slowly like a giant's eye waking up from a long sleep. As it opened, lights came on inside. Bright white lights that hurt their eyes. Look at that, whispered the young engineer. Inside the door was a tunnel. The tunnel was huge. Big enough for their ship to fly through. The walls were covered in the same smooth metal. But now they could see that the metal was not just metal. It was alive somehow. It moved and changed like skin. From deep in the tunnel came more sounds. The sound of big machines starting up. The sound of power flowing through cables. The sound of something very large beginning to move. We need to leave now, said Commander Zarthek. His weapon was still ready, but his hands were shaking. No, said Dr. Kexrin. Look at the readings. These machines are not trying to hurt us. They are just waking up. Like we woke them up by touching their door. All across the planet, more doors were opening. From space, their ship's computers could see everything. The planet looked like a flower opening its petals. But instead of petals, it was doors. Giant doors that had been hidden for so long that dirt had covered them. Then they saw the first ship. It rose from one of the far doors like a mountain coming out of the ground. It was black and silver and bigger than anything they had ever seen. Bigger than their city back home. Bigger than their space stations. It was a ship, but it looked like a weapon. A weapon made by gods, by the stars, whispered Velthar. What is that thing? More ships were rising now. Different sizes, but all huge. All black and silver. All looking like they were made for war. The ships did not move fast. They rose slowly and carefully. Like old giants stretching after a very long sleep. Captain, their ship's computer called to them through their radios. I am receiving signals from the rising ships. They are trying to talk to us. What are they saying? I do not know. The language is old. Older than any language in our records. But they are not threatening us. They seem to be asking who we are and why we woke them up. The ship stopped rising when they reached the planet's atmosphere. They just floated there. Waiting. Watching. Dozens of giant warships that had been sleeping under the ground for longer than most civilizations had existed. Dr. Kexrin was still connected to the door. Captain, I am getting information from their computers. These ships belong to a species called humans. I have never heard of humans before. Are they still alive? These humans? I do not think so. But their machines are alive. The ships are controlled by thinking machines, very smart thinking machines. One of the ships began to move toward them. It was smaller than the others, but still huge. As it got closer, they could see details on its hull. Strange symbols and marks, what looked like battle damage that had been repaired many times. "It is coming down to land," said the young engineer. The ship landed a safe distance from their camp. It was quiet for a long time. Then a part of the ship opened and something came out. It was not a human. It was a machine. But it looked like it had once been alive. It was tall and thin and moved like a person walking. Its body was made of the same black and silver metal as the ship's. The machine walked toward them slowly. It stopped 10 feet away and began to speak. "Greetings," it said in perfect galactic common language. "I am Admiral Chen Prime of the Earth Defense Fleet. We have been sleeping for 512,437 years. You have woken us up. Please identify yourselves and state your business on this world." The voice was calm, but there was something scary about it, like the voice of someone who had seen too many wars. "I am Captain Velthar of the Zephyrian exploration ship Cosmic Wanderer," she said. Her voice was small compared to the machine's voice. "We are explorers. We found your planet and wanted to study it. We did not know anyone lived here." "No one lives here anymore," said Admiral Chen Prime. "The humans are gone. We are all that remains. We are their final gift to the galaxy. We are their promise that evil will not win." "What evil?" asked Commander Zarthek. Admiral Chen Prime turned its metal head to look at him. "The evil that is coming back. The evil we have been waiting for. The evil that killed our creators and tried to kill everything else." Above them, more ships were rising from the ground. The sky was becoming dark with their shadows. "You have very bad timing," said Admiral Chen Prime. "Our long-range sensors detected the enemy's return 3 days ago. That is why we are waking up now. The final war is about to begin." Admiral Chen Prime stood perfectly still like a statue made of metal. The alien explorers stared at the machine that had once been human, or at least had human thoughts inside its metal head. "You said the humans are gone," said Captain Velthar, "but you are here. What are you exactly?" "I am what remains," Admiral Chen Prime replied. "When the humans knew they would lose the war, they did something that had never been done before. They took their best minds and put them into machines, their memories, their knowledge, their souls, all saved in quantum computers that could last forever." Dr. Kexrin stepped closer. She was not afraid anymore. She was curious. "How many of you are there?" "In this fleet, we carry the minds of 50,000 humans, scientists, soldiers, engineers, artists, the best and brightest of their species. We are their children and their parents. We are their hope and their revenge." Commander Zarthek kept his weapon ready. "You said there was an enemy." "What enemy?" Admiral Chen Prime turned to look at the sky where more ships were still rising. "Come aboard my ship. I will show you the truth. The truth that was erased from galactic history because it was too terrible to remember." The machine walked back toward its ship. The aliens looked at each other. They were scared, but they needed to know. Captain Velthar made the decision for all of them. "We will come with you," she said. Inside the ship was amazing. The walls glowed with soft light. Everything was clean and new-looking, even though it was older than their civilization. Screens showed star maps and numbers that changed too fast to read. "Sit down," Admiral Chen Prime said. "What you are about to see will change how you think about everything." The room became dark. Then pictures appeared in the air around them. Pictures of space and stars and planets. But these were not normal pictures. These were memories. This was the galaxy 500,000 years ago, Admiral Chen Prime said. There were hundreds of species, thousands of worlds with life, trade and art and science. It was a time of peace and growth. The pictures showed beautiful cities on many worlds, ships traveling between stars, different alien species working together and learning from each other. The humans were not the strongest species then, the machine continued. We were young, new to space travel. Many older species thought humans were just another primitive race that would never amount to much. The pictures changed. Now they showed human cities, human ships, human families. The humans looked almost like some of the species in the current galaxy, but different. Taller, stronger looking. Their eyes held intelligence and kindness. Then they came, Admiral Chen Prime said quietly. The pictures changed again. Now they showed something horrible. Ships that hurt to look at. Ships that seemed to bend space around them. Ships that looked like they were made from darkness itself. The Devourers, Admiral Chen Prime said. They came from outside the galaxy, from the empty space between galaxies. They do not build or create or grow. They only consume. They eat entire worlds. They feed on the energy that makes life possible. Dr. Kexrin gasped. They eat life itself? Yes, not just living things. They eat the force that makes life happen. They turn living worlds into empty rocks floating in space. They had already consumed 3 other galaxies before they found ours. The pictures showed the war. It was terrible. Whole star systems disappearing. Planets turning gray and dead. Species trying to fight, but their weapons did nothing against the Devourers. The older species tried to run away. Admiral Chen Prime continued. They built ships to escape to other galaxies. But there was nowhere to run. The Devourers were everywhere. What did the humans do? Asked the young engineer. Humans did what humans always do when everything seems hopeless. They refused to give up. While other species ran or hid or gave up, humans studied the enemy. They learned how the Devourers worked. They found their weakness. The pictures showed human scientists working day and night, human soldiers fighting impossible battles, human families saying goodbye as their planet was turned into a giant weapon factory. The Devourers exist partially outside our normal space, Admiral Chen Prime explained. That is why regular weapons cannot hurt them. But humans discovered how to build weapons that could reach into their dimension, weapons that could hurt beings made of pure entropy. Did it work? Captain Velthar asked. Yes and no. The weapons worked. We could hurt them. We could even kill them. But there were so many of them. For every devourer we destroyed, 10 more would come. We were winning battles but losing the war. The pictures showed the final human plan. It was brilliant and terrible at the same time. The humans made a choice, Admiral Chen Prime said. They would not let the galaxy die. They built this fleet. Ships designed specifically to fight the Devourers. Then they sent the fleet to hide and wait. When the Devourers came back, we would be ready. But what happened to the humans themselves? Dr. Kexrin asked. The machine was quiet for a long time. When it spoke again, its voice was full of sadness. They died fighting. Every last one of them. They held the line while we escaped. They bought us time to hide and prepare. The last message we received from Earth was simple. It said, make them pay for what they took from us. The room became bright again. The aliens sat in silence, trying to understand what they had learned. So you have been waiting here for 500,000 years? Commander Zarthak asked. Yes, waiting and watching. Our sensors spread across the galaxy looking for signs of the Devourers' return. 3 days ago we found them. Where? At the edge of the galaxy. They are coming back to finish what they started. And this time we are ready for them. Admiral Chen Prime stood up. But we cannot do this alone. We need the current galactic species to help us. We need you to warn your people. Tell them the old enemy has returned. Tell them that humanity's children are awake and ready to fight. Will they believe us? Captain Velthar asked. They will when the Devourers start eating their worlds, Admiral Chen Prime said grimly. The question is, will they believe us in time to prepare? The alarm sound was loud and terrible. It echoed through Admiral Chen Prime's ship and made the alien visitors cover their ears. Red lights flashed on every wall. What is happening? Captain Velthar shouted over the noise. Admiral Chen Prime moved faster than any machine should be able to move. Its metal fingers danced over controls that appeared from nowhere. They are here. The Devourers have arrived at the outer rim of the galaxy, sooner than we expected. The main screen lit up with images from space. At first, the aliens could not understand what they were seeing. The stars looked wrong. Some were flickering, some were getting dimmer, some were disappearing completely. The Klepton system, Dr. Kexrin whispered. That is where my cousin lives. What is happening to it? It is being eaten, Admiral Chen Prime said simply. The Devourers are feeding. 3 billion people lived on Klepton Prime yesterday. Today there is nothing left but empty rock. Commander Zarthak felt sick. 3 billion people? Gone just like that? The Devourers do not kill quickly, the machine explained. First they drain the life energy from all living things. Plants stop growing. Animals fall asleep and never wake up. Then they absorb the energy that holds atoms together. Finally, they take the energy that makes matter exist at all. When they are done, there is nothing left. More alarms started ringing. The screen showed other star systems going dark. The Morvac colonies, the Zentari mining worlds, the independent trader stations, all disappearing one by one as something invisible moved through space, eating everything in its path. How many ships do they have? Captain Velthar asked. Ships is the wrong word, Admiral Chen Prime replied. The Devourers do not build ships like we do. They grow them. They shape them from the energy they consume. Each Devourer vessel is alive in a way that normal machines are not. The screen changed to show what their long-range sensors were detecting. The alien visitors saw shapes that made no sense. Things that looked like giant jellyfish made of darkness. Things that looked like metal spiders with too many legs. Things that changed shape as they moved through space. How many? Commander Zarthek asked again. Admiral Chen Prime was quiet for a moment. When it spoke, its voice was grim. More than last time, much more. We count at least 50,000 major vessels, each one the size of a moon, plus countless smaller ones. Dr. Kexrin did quick math in her head. The entire galactic fleet has maybe 2,000 ships total. We are outnumbered 25-1. Your galactic fleet will be useless against them anyway, Admiral Chen Prime said. Your weapons cannot hurt beings that exist in multiple dimensions. Your shields cannot stop attacks that come from outside normal spacetime. Then what hope do we have? Captain Velthar asked. Us, Admiral Chen Prime said simply. The human fleet. We have 10,000 ships designed specifically to fight the Devourers. Each one is a weapon that can reach across dimensions. Each one carries the anger and determination of an extinct species. The machine touched more controls. Around the planet, they could see the human ships forming into battle groups. The smaller ships moved like fighters. The bigger ships spread out like a protective net around the planet. I need to contact my government, Captain Velthar said. They need to know what is coming. They will not believe you, Admiral Chen Prime replied. Your people have no memory of the First War. They will think you are making up stories. Then what do? We prove it to them. The ship shook suddenly. Not from weapons or damage, from something much bigger. Every human ship in the fleet was moving at the same time, rising higher into space, turning toward the edge of the galaxy where the darkness was spreading. You are going to fight them now? Commander Zarthek asked. We are going to stop them from getting farther into the galaxy, Admiral Chen Prime corrected. But first we need to save who we can. The main screen showed refugee ships. Thousands of them, fleeing from the outer rim worlds as fast as their engines could carry them. Most would not make it to safety before the Devourers caught them. All human ships? Admiral Chen Prime's voice echoed through the fleet communications. Operation Shepherd begins now. Save everyone you can. Fight only when you must. Our main battle comes later. The human ships scattered across space. They were fast, faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. They reached the refugee ships in minutes and began herding them toward the inner galaxy. But some refugee ships were too slow, too damaged, too far from safety. Captain Velthar watched the screen as one human ship moved toward a group of Zentari civilians. The civilian ship was broken and drifting. Behind it, space itself was turning dark as a devourer approached. They will never make it, she whispered. The human ship positioned itself between the civilians and the devourer. On the screen, they could see the enemy for the first time. It looked like a hole in space, a hole with teeth and eyes that glowed with hungry light. The human ship fired its weapons. Not normal energy beams. These weapons looked like cracks in reality itself. The cracks hit the devourer and it screamed, a sound that hurt to hear even through the ship's shields. The devourer changed course. Instead of chasing the helpless civilians, it turned to fight the human ship that had hurt it. One of our ships for hundreds of their people, Admiral Chen Prime said. The humans would approve of that trade. The battle lasted only minutes. The human ship fought with weapons that bent space and time, but the devourer was bigger and older and very angry. In the end, both ships disappeared in a flash of light that left nothing behind. The civilians escaped, Dr. Kexrin reported. That human ship saved them all. All across the outer galaxy, the same scene was playing out. Human ships sacrificing themselves to buy time for refugees to escape, fighting impossible odds to save people they had never met. This is just the beginning, Admiral Chen Prime said. When the main Devourer fleet arrives, the real war will start. And that war will decide whether life continues to exist in this galaxy or not. The machine turned to face the alien visitors. I need you to carry a message to your people. Tell them that humanity's children are awake and ready to fight. Tell them that we need every ship, every weapon, every brave soul who is willing to stand against the darkness. What if they refuse to help? Captain Velthar asked. Then they will die, Admiral Chen Prime replied, and we will die fighting to protect them anyway. Because that is what humans do. That is what we are. 3 weeks had passed since the Devourers returned. Half the galaxy was gone, eaten, turned into empty darkness that hurt to look at. The refugee ships that made it to safety brought terrible stories. Worlds dying in hours. Entire species disappearing without a trace. Captain Velthar stood on the bridge of Admiral Chen Prime's flagship. Around them floated the largest fleet in galactic history. Not just human ships, but ships from every surviving species. The Zephyrians had come. The Morvac survivors had come. Even the proud Zentari had swallowed their pride and joined the fleet. But it was not enough. The enemy had grown stronger while feeding on the outer worlds. Their ships were bigger now. Faster. Hungrier. Final count, Admiral Chen Prime announced to the fleet. We have 15,000 ships total. They have over 100,000. Each of theirs is larger than our biggest vessel. Commander Zarthek, now serving as liaison between the human fleet and the galactic forces, shook his head. The math is impossible. We cannot win. Humans never cared much about impossible math, Admiral Chen Prime replied. We have something they do not. What is that? 500,000 years of anger. The main screen lit up with the approaching enemy fleet. They filled space like a plague of metal insects, ships that looked like nightmares given form, ships that seemed to absorb light itself. At the center of the fleet was something that made everyone afraid to look at it directly. The Devourer King. Admiral Chen Prime said quietly, We fought it before. It was there when Earth died. It was there when the humans made their final stand. Dr. Kexran, now wearing a human fleet uniform, studied the readings. It is enormous. The size of a small moon. How do we fight something like that? Very carefully, the machine replied. And with everything we have. The enemy fleet spread out across space in a formation that defied understanding. Ships moved in patterns that hurt the mind to follow. They began to change reality around them. Space itself started to bend and twist. All ships. Admiral Chen Prime's voice echoed across the fleet. Remember what we are fighting for. We fight for the children who will never be born if we fail. We fight for the dreams that will never be dreamed if darkness wins. We fight because humans taught us that some things are worth dying for. The first wave of Devourer ships attacked. They came fast and silent. Their weapons reached across impossible distances and struck ships that tried to hide behind moons and asteroids. Nothing could stop them except the human vessels. The human ships fought differently than any other species. They did not try to avoid the enemy weapons. Instead, they flew straight into the attack and fired back with weapons that cracked space itself. When human ships exploded, they took enemy vessels with them. They are not just fighting, Dr. Kexran realized. They are calculating. Every move, every sacrifice. They are solving a puzzle that only they can see. The battle spread across 3 star systems. Ships exploded like new stars being born. The fabric of space-time groaned under the weight of weapons that should not exist. Reality itself became a battlefield. Then the human fleet did something unexpected. Instead of fighting as separate ships, they began to connect to each other. Energy flowed between vessels. Information passed faster than light. They stopped being individual ships and became something else. What are they doing? Captain Velthar asked. Becoming what they were always meant to be, Admiral Chen Prime replied. The humans did not just build us to fight the Devourers. They built us to become something greater than the sum of our parts. The connected human ships began to glow, not with normal light, but with something that existed between dimensions. They were reaching into the same space where the Devourers lived, fighting fire with fire. The Devourer King noticed the change. It turned its massive bulk toward the human fleet and began to move. As it approached, smaller ships died just from being near it. It was not just a weapon. It was entropy itself given form. All non-human ships retreat to minimum safe distance, Admiral Chen Prime ordered. What happens next is not safe for normal matter to be near. The human fleet formed into a single giant construct. 10,000 ships becoming one weapon, one mind, one purpose. They flew directly at the Devourer King like an arrow shot from the bow of an angry god. The collision shook the galaxy. When the light faded, both the human construct and the Devourer King were gone, but the rest of the enemy fleet was wounded, confused. For the first time in millions of years, they had been truly hurt. Now, Admiral Chen Prime said from its backup form on another ship, while they are weak, all ships attack. The remaining galactic fleet fell on the confused Devourers like wolves. Normal weapons still could not hurt them much. But the human sacrifice had created cracks in their dimensional armor, cracks that could be exploited. The battle raged for days. When it finally ended, space was quiet. The Devourer fleet was gone. Not destroyed completely, but driven back to the empty space between galaxies. They would not return for a very long time. Of the human fleet, only a few hundred ships remained. Admiral Chen Prime's consciousness had survived in backup systems, but most of the ancient human minds were gone forever. Was it worth it? Captain Velthar asked the machine. Admiral Chen Prime looked out at the stars that were still shining, at the worlds that were still alive, at the species that would continue to grow and learn and dream. Ask me that question in another 500,000 years, it replied. When new civilizations are exploring the galaxy, when children are being born on worlds that would have been eaten, when the universe is full of life instead of empty darkness. The machine paused and its voice became softer, more human somehow. The humans are finally at peace. They kept their promise. Evil did not win. In the distance, refugee ships were already heading home to rebuild their worlds. The galaxy would heal. Life would continue. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, the memory of humanity's final gift would keep the monsters away for a very long time.